And with that, we make way for the co-host of Pro Football Talk Live, the former NFL quarterback and one of the stars on Football Night in America, Chris Sims, joining us. Well, what's this going to mean for the Browns, Chris?
Well, I mean, it's a big blow for their football team. There's no doubt about that. Odell Beckham Jr., despite, lack of, big stats or like a consistent, snitch in the offense, he does have more value to an offense than the stats, right, Dan? I mean, that's the big thing. He's going to open up other receivers. He helps the run game because he puts defenses in the dilemma. Do you want to play one-on-one against Odell Beckham Jr.? Do you want to put the safety over the top? Oh, the safety's over the top. Then we can run the ball. So it will hurt them. He's a playmaker that way. But they do have some other weapons, a good run game to where I don't look at it and go, oh, they're done. It's over now. Not like that.
I'm not quite sure how good they were with Odell Beckham because they beat the Bengals twice. They beat the Cowboys. They beat the Washington football team. So they got blown out in their two losses. I don't know how good they are.
Yeah, no, I think that's very fair. I think it's a defense that has a really good front four, but is kind of average across the board everywhere else. Offensively, Baker Mayfield's been very inconsistent all year. He was awesome yesterday. I mean, he really was. But, the drop back pass game is the last part of what I need to see out of Cleveland too, because when they don't run the ball, they look like they struggle when they are just asked to drop back and throw the ball 40, 45 times a game. And that's probably the next thing we got to see from them for when those teams do shut down the great run Cleveland attack.
What would you do if you're Jerry Jones?
Well, I'd still let this ride out right now as far as like if you're saying, do you make any rash decisions, firings, things like that? No. Now, it's a very tough circumstance they've been put in. I mean, no doubt, new coaches. They obviously may have had an issue with Mike Nolan. He's a 3-4 base guy, and you got all these guys from the old regime, the Seattle scheme, 4-3, shoot the gap. So there's a true disconnect there where the players don't match the scheme. And then, obviously offensively, for all those people out there who were kind of like, oh, Dak Prescott, they should just pay Andy Dalton his $7 million and go with him. We don't need Dak Prescott. Well, you're seeing he's a little bit better than maybe we all wanted to give him credit for. They're a mess right now. They stink. But I think he's got to ride it out a little bit and let Mike McCarthy try to figure this out and make a mark with the team before he does anything rash.
Mike McCarthy called out his team after the loss, saying that somebody should have got in John Bostic's face after the cheap shot on Andy Dalton. Like, how does that work with sticking up for a player, sticking up for your quarterback, and should the coach be calling out your team publicly like that?
Well, I think he'd like to see a little more fire and fight from them. I mean, just in general, to where that game was at that point anyways. I mean, it was like they were kind of content, like, oh, Washington's running us over. Big deal. Okay, that's great. I mean, there is just a lack of intensity overall with the Dallas Cowboy football team. It is a fine line, Dan. I mean, it's a good question because you're always beat into your head in the meetings all week. Don't do anything stupid. Don't get us personal fouls. Don't put us in a bad position. I think if it's the normal Cowboys starting offensive line, it's Zach Martin's out there with Tyrone Smith and Lyle Collins. They probably take something like that more personal, but you got a mismatch of guys there. And I think the other thing that played into it, Dan, is it was such an intense, aggressive hit. I think a lot of guys were more like, wait, I got to check to see if Andy Dalton's all right before I start to go get in this guy's face about the cheap shot. And I think worrisome kind of took over in this particular circumstance as well.
Have you ever been in a bad locker room?
I mean, I can't say that I've been in a bad locker room. No, I've been in locker rooms, of course, that were better than others, but I can't remember being in one where I was like, man, we're dysfunctional. We're a mess. This is really bad. I can't say that I was in number one like that.
I was just wondering, watching the Cowboys, that, you get paid, you see guys get paid, and then they play differently. We see this in running backs all the time.
Yes.
And is this a fair criticism of this entire team that Amari Cooper he's probably a nice guy and a good receiver, but Zeke Elliott got paid, Cooper got paid, the offensive line got paid, your defensive players, everybody got paid. And they play like they got paid, not that they want to get paid.
Yeah, there's a lack of grit with their football team. Yes, it can go two ways. It can go, wait, you got paid and now, oh, let me kick my feet back and enjoy the money and the stress is out. Or it can go, I got paid. I've got insurance. Now I can lay it on the line. Like Alvin Kamara is that guy. I feel like ever since he signed that contract, all of a sudden he's breaking 97 tackles every play and it's just pedal to the metal. But yes, with Dallas, it seems like they just think, hey, at times we're Dallas. We got all these great facilities. We got these cool helmets. We're America's team. Look at all these studs we got on the roster. If we just show up, we're going to win football games. And that's just not the case. Salary cap, free agency, the way it is this day and age, the difference between the worst team and the best team in football is not that great, as you know. And they seem to want to anoint themselves before they do the dirty work, to your point.
What's the difference with Tom Brady the last 5 games as opposed to the first 2?
Well, I think they found out they slowly kind of broke him into being more comfortable throwing the ball down the field that way. And I think they've just found the right balance of, hey, spread it out, Tom Brady quick passes. Hey, 2 tight ends in the game. We're going to take some shots down the field, and then we can overpower you with the run game. Dan, they're the best team in the NFC. There they are. I mean, they're the most complete team for sure, and they're still going up. There's really not I've been saying this for 2 weeks. There's really not a weakness with their team. O-line's good. Run game's good. Weapons galore. Brady's awesome. Front 7 might be one of the best in football. And they got young, shutdown cover corners who, have made a few mistakes. But I just would say when you look at all those factors and you look at the Packers who have questions on defense and Seattle questions on defense, I look at Tampa right now and just go, watch out, because I think they're the cream of the crop.
Bringing in Antonio Brown, good, bad?
I think it's good. I do. Because first off, Brady can handle it. Brady's got great people skills, charisma. He obviously made a connection with them. And I think it's add to the weaponry. We know it. It's here to be had. They could win the Super Bowl this year. So more matchup nightmares across the board. And I think the other thing with COVID-19, Mike Evans being banged up, Chris Godwin being banged up, they're probably looking at it like, man, we don't want to lose one of these guys for 6 or 7 weeks and really have to struggle through our offensive ways here. He gives them insurance as far as that's concerned as well.
What has changed with the Patriots?
Well, COVID-19 screwed them badly. I mean, Cam's never been back in rhythm since he, missed that time. The one thing we saw, they played that Kansas City Chiefs football game, and that was there to be had. They could have won it. They can run the football and control the clock, but they kind of have to play that style of football game. Last week it was rusty against Denver. They made some mistakes, all that. Denver did a good job, whatever. We know they didn't practice. Yesterday was a pure bad matchup butt whooping. One thing to watch out for the Patriots, Dan, they don't have any defensive tackles. They don't have any size on their front. So you can run the ball on them if you have a good running attack. And that's what Shanahan did yesterday. And they took away that running attack from the Patriots, who kind of have to play that style. They want to control the clock, get out in front of you. Then Bill can do all crazy things on defense, and their secondary can match up with people. And that's their position of power. And they haven't been able to do that the last 2 weeks.
If I could give you Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray for the next 10 years.
Oh, man. That is a really good one because it's 3. I mean, I got man crushes in all 3 of them. I don't know where I'd go here. I think right now, I'd probably still go Kyler Murray. I would go Kyler Murray as we sit here right now, just because I probably have seen more evidence of him. Justin Herbert, though, and Joe Burrow are not far behind. I mean, they're both, as I know why you're asking me, because you watch on Sundays and your jaw drops 4 or 5 times a game watching Herbert and Burrow, because you just go, damn, what a throw, what a decision, what a play. I mean, really, they're budding superstars. I'm excited about both, but I'll give Murray the edge right now.
If Murray throws for 4,000 yards, they make the playoffs, he rushes for 1,000. Can he? I know that we've made Russell Wilson the clear favorite for MVP. I think Brady's back in the picture and should be. And yep. I don't know if Kyler Murray can get in there if he has a unique season. What do you think?
I think he certainly can make some people think about it as they go to the ballot box there for MVP voting. Because, the thing is, too, like Russell, it's just everything they do is formulated around them and their skill set, and the way they play and the pressure they apply on defense is all about what the quarterback does that way, to where I hear you. If they get in the playoffs at a 10-6 and he has some crazy stat line like that, and as you see last night, it's not always like surgical offensive, just we pick you apart. A lot of it is like, oh, wait, nobody's open. And then there he goes making 7 guys miss because he's got 3 rockets up his butt. I mean, he's unbelievable that way. I mean, yeah, he's got 3 of them. He can fly.
Not literally. Not literally.
Not literally. No, figuratively. Yes.
Explain this to me with Tua Tagovailoa coming in as a left-hander. Offenses are geared towards a right-handed quarterback normally. How does this change with a left-handed quarterback coming in?
The biggest thing more than anything is like bootlegs and play actions and maybe setting up your offense that way, right? To where, hey, more times than not, you want your lefty on a bootleg to end up rolling to his left. Not all the time, but let's say 8 out of 10 times. And that's where the juggling match goes on for the offensive coordinator, to think about protections and just little nuances like that with like the play action pass. Oh, let me call it this way so he doesn't have to turn his back completely to the coverage and not see it. They'll get used to it. There'll probably be a few moments where Shane Gailey will go, oh, damn it, damn lefty, blah, 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 and he'll figure it out. But I've been through it. They'll figure it out.
What's it like when you get replaced?
It's devastating. I mean, it's like losing a loved one. I don't know any other way to say
But how are you told? Like Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's finding out how we're finding out with social media, and this story, his family found out that way.
Right.
Like, does the head coach
Yes.
come, or offensive coordinator? Like,
usually it would be like an offensive coordinator or a head coach. It's going to either work like this. Either all of a sudden somebody's going to come down and say, hey, the head coach wants to see you, and you got to go up there. Or you're going to have an offensive meeting or something like that, and the offensive coordinator is going to give you a little inkling that they might make a move or something, and, hey, the head coach wants to talk to you. And that's usually how the news is broke to you. But, yeah, that was a shocker, but I also understand it. They were in danger of kind of setting it up a bad way for Tua. They got a schedule that sets up, Dan, where they could be sitting here at 8-4 in a few weeks, and then you go, wait, are we going to pull Fitzpatrick then? Or are we going to put Tua in and then we lose a bunch of games and everybody blames him going to the offseason? Or do we go to the playoffs at 10-6 with Fitzpatrick and then start the next year with Tua and we start out 0-2 and everybody's like, oh, why did we leave Fitzpatrick? So I think they realized that the team is set up for Tua to succeed and that they were in danger of kind of setting up a narrative that they didn't want to deal with.
Is Sam Darnold the quarterback for the Jets next year?
I would say no right now. And that's not because of Sam Darnold. I feel bad for Sam Darnold. You could still win football games and be successful with him at quarterback. This goes back to the conversation you and I have a lot. It's more than there's the quarterback. Build a damn team around somebody. I don't care if you put Aaron Rodgers or
I think
Brady.
It'd be a blessing in disguise, Chris. If I'm Sam Darnold,
yeah, right,
and I get to go to Pittsburgh and back up Ben Roethlisberger for a year or two, or maybe Chicago. I think Sam can play, but it might be he'll do better getting out of New York, I think.
I don't disagree, and there's going to be plenty of spots. I mean, who knows? New Orleans, that might be open next year. Indianapolis,
they got Taysom Hill down there.
Well, I don't know. I'm just throwing out, spots that could be a possibility.
New England might be open.
I think there's plenty of places that we could see opportunities like this. But I think ultimately Trevor Lawrence is that type of player coming out of Clemson where it's going to be hard to turn him down if you have the number 1 pick in the draft. Between the media, how good he is, the public pressure, all that. You don't want to see him go somewhere else and light it up and go, oh, we passed up on him.
No, that ain't happening.
No.
If you're the Jets and you got Sam Darnold and Trevor Lawrence is there at the number 1 pick, you're taking Trevor Lawrence, right?
I am. Yeah, I can't pass up Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, I don't think you could do that. And plus, they're not deep enough in it and don't have anything set up for Sam Darnold anyway. So you might just start it all over and figure it out as we go with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, but if you're Trevor Lawrence, do you want to go to the Jets?
Well, that's a big question. I mean, really, both New York teams are probably in the conversation for Trevor Lawrence up here. And again, I don't agree with it. I think Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold, you can win games with. Everybody needs some help a little bit.
If the Jets and Giants merged,
right,
would they be a playoff team?
I don't know. I don't think they would be. I don't. I'm not. It's you're catching me off guard, but I just think about this. I go secondary. Okay, we got Bradbury for the Giants, but damn, we got a whole lot of average after that.
But if you get to play in the NFC East.
Oh, well, then maybe you're a playoff team.
Okay.
If you get to play in the NFC East, then you're a playoff team. Okay. Yes, there's that caveat for sure.
Thank you, Chris. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, good talking to you too, guys. Be good. See you, Dan.
Chris Sims, co-host with Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk Live, and the former NFL quarterback and one of the stars of Football Night in America.